When Donald Trump returned to the White House, the reaction across the crypto world was immediate and explosive. Markets don't wait for policy papers or regulatory guidance. They react to momentum, expectation, and shifts in power. And the expectation the moment Trump won was crystal clear. The United States was about to pivot away from 4 years of regulatory hostility and move straight into a far more open, pro-innovation, pro-growth era for digital assets. The market didn't whisper that, it screamed it. Bitcoin surged double digits within the first 24 hours. Ethereum, Solana, XRP, and every major asset followed. Analysts called it the strongest political reaction trade in the history of crypto, and the numbers justified that description. You don't see that kind of reaction unless something fundamental changes in the way investors see the government's relationship with the industry. And before we go deeper, a huge thank you to everyone rating the show 5 stars. Once we hit 200 ratings before Christmas, 2 listeners will receive 50 XRP each. If you've already done it, comment "done" so we can get you added to the list. Now back to the moment the networks called Trump's victory. The reason the rally hit so hard wasn't about blind optimism. It was about the contrast. Investors had just lived through an administration that embraced enforcement-first regulation, leaned heavily into lawsuits, treated digital assets as a threat rather than an opportunity, and sent mixed messages on innovation. Suddenly, they saw the return of a president who openly talked about protecting Americans from CBDCs, boosting innovation, supporting miners, and making sure the US didn't fall behind technologically. Even people who weren't Trump supporters couldn't deny how dramatic that shift felt in real time. But the truth is, Trump's relationship with crypto didn't begin in 2025. It goes back to 2016. When he won that first election, the crypto market was nowhere near the scale it's at today. But the psychological effect was noticeable. Investors saw him as a deregulation-first figure, someone who favored economic expansion and technological growth. He wasn't promoting Bitcoin back then, but he wasn't obstructing it either. And sometimes neutrality from a US president is enough to create a climate where innovation can breathe. As the 2017 bull run approached, the overall macro mood under Trump played a role in how freely that early crypto wave developed. But there were moments during his first term where Trump unintentionally shook the crypto ecosystem, especially during the US-China trade wars. When those tensions spiked, global markets wobbled. Bitcoin often surged as a geopolitical hedge, but during liquidity crunches, it dumped hard. Altcoins were hit even worse. What the market learned back then was simple. Trump creates volatility, and volatility cuts both ways. This would become a theme that followed him all the way into 2025. That Trump's unpredictability can be a double-edged sword. But in crypto, volatility isn't death. It's oxygen. Movement is opportunity. And that's exactly why the surge around his 2025 victory was so fascinating. Unlike 2016, crypto in 2025 wasn't some small speculative corner of the internet. It was a multi-trillion-dollar global infrastructure with real investors, real builders, and real economic weight. For the first time ever, crypto had a political expectation, and Trump fulfilled it instantly. In January 2025, he signed the executive order strengthening American leadership in digital financial technology, the single most openly pro-crypto executive order ever issued by a US president. It described digital assets as a crucial part of America's economic future, revoked the previous administration's restrictive framework, formally blocked any attempt at launching a US CBDC, and instructed agencies across the federal government to build a pro-growth digital asset strategy. The wording wasn't cautious, it wasn't timid, it was bold, unapologetic, and intentionally confidence-building. Markets reacted exactly as you'd expect. Bitcoin rallied, Solana rallied, Ethereum rallied. Startups began hiring again. Venture capital began releasing funds they'd been sitting on since 2022. And trading volume across exchanges jumped sharply. For the first time since the peak of 2021, the crypto world felt like the wind was finally at its back, rather than in its face. Then came the headline moment. Trump's decision to create the US Strategic Bitcoin Reserve. Historically, The United States government, through the U.S. Marshals, would auction seized Bitcoin and crash the market every time. Trump ended that. He ordered the government to hold its seized Bitcoin as a strategic asset. Around 200,000 BTC were placed into this sovereign reserve. It was a symbolic and psychological shift, as much as it was an economic one. Bitcoin wasn't just a speculative instrument anymore. It became a strategic commodity. As Bloomberg's Mike McGlone said, "This is the moment Bitcoin graduates into national-level legitimacy," and the market agreed. Trump followed that with the digital asset stockpile, telling agencies not to sell seized altcoins either. It didn't mean the government was buying more, but stopping the bleed was a massive win. Forced government liquidations were hated by traders. They caused panic. Trump shut that off. And then there's the cultural impact. When Trump's meme coin surged during campaign season, people rushed to mock it. They missed the real point. It wasn't the coin, it was the reach. Trump moves crypto sentiment more than any political figure on Earth. His voice shifts liquidity. His presence shifts volume. His meme coin wasn't a gimmick. It was a live indicator of the market's emotional temperature. And like it or not, meme coins are woven into the fabric of crypto. They reflect the culture, the community, the attitude, the confidence. Trump amplified that culture like nobody else ever has. So what's Trump's motive? Why is he this connected to crypto? We are going to take a short break. Stay with us.
Avoiding your unfinished home projects because you're not sure where to start? Thumbtack knows homes, so you don't have to. Don't know the difference between matte paint finish and satin? Or what that clunking sound from your dryer is? With Thumbtack, you don't have to be a home pro. You just have to hire one. You can hire top-rated pros, see price estimates, and read reviews all on the app. Download Thumbtack today.
What can 160 years of experience teach you about the future? When it comes to protecting what matters, Pacific Life provides life insurance, retirement income, and employee benefits for people and businesses building a more confident tomorrow. Strategies rooted in strength and backed by experience. Ask a financial professional how Pacific Life can help you today. Pacific Life Insurance Company, Omaha, Nebraska, and in New York. Pacific Life and Annuity, Phoenix, Arizona.
Okay, we're back. So what are Trump's motives? First, the strategic motive. Trump sees innovation as power. Nations that master blockchain, AI, digital finance, and computational infrastructure will dominate the next century. He doesn't want China or the EU defining that future. He wants America leading it. Second, the economic motive. Crypto is an enormous engine of growth, employing hundreds of thousands across mining, fintech, cybersecurity, commerce, development, and infrastructure. Supporting crypto is supporting American jobs and American innovation. As Coinbase CEO Brian Armstrong put it, crypto is becoming a pillar of American tech leadership. Third, the cultural motive. Trump's base aligns deeply with crypto values: sovereignty, personal freedom, distrust of centralized authority, skepticism toward government surveillance, and the belief that individuals, not institutions, should control their financial lives. Crypto is rebellion tech, and Trump is a rebellion energy figure. It's a natural fusion. But here's where our slogan comes in. Because the truth always lies somewhere in the middle. The truth is that Trump brings volatility. He brings unpredictability. He can cause global tension that spills into markets. Some institutions worry that tying crypto too tightly to one political figure might reduce long-term neutrality. Others argue that a rally built on political confidence can overshoot and correct aggressively. But the other side of that truth is just as real. Trump brings momentum. He brings optimism. He brings regulatory clarity, capital flow, and cultural force. He injects energy into a market that thrives on movement. As macro strategist Raoul Pal said, Trump injects volatility, but in crypto, volatility is fuel. You can't build opportunity from stagnation. That's the middle ground. That's the real answer. Internationally, the Trump effect is undeniable. Countries that once mocked Bitcoin are now exploring reserves. Political leaders who never mentioned digital assets now debate them weekly. Mining, custody, digital asset trade agreements, These topics were niche 3 years ago, and now they're mainstream. And the reason is simple. Trump forced crypto into the geopolitical spotlight. So has Trump made crypto better or worse? He's made it bigger. He's made it louder. He's made it more legitimate. He's made it a strategic industry. He's made it politically impossible to ignore. Yes, volatility follows him, but volatility in crypto is oxygen. Yes, global uncertainty can shake markets. But that's part of the game. And yes, enthusiasm can run hot. But hot markets build opportunity in ways cold markets never can. Trump hasn't made crypto worse. He's accelerated it, amplified it, and pushed it straight into the future. But there's another layer we haven't touched yet, and it's one of the reasons Trump's return to the White House carries so much weight in the digital asset world. It's the psychological dimension. Markets aren't moved just by policy. They're moved by confidence, fear, expectation, and narrative. Trump is a narrative engine. You cannot say that about many political figures. In fact, most politicians flatten narratives or smother them. Trump amplifies narratives. He accelerates them. He creates them. And that skill has a measurable financial impact. Look at the data. During the weeks leading up to his 2025 victory, Google searches for crypto regulation, Bitcoin price forecast, and Solana predictions rose in direct correlation with betting odds for Trump winning key swing states. That's not coincidence. That's sentiment moving in real time. And sentiment is one of the most powerful forces in all of finance, especially in crypto, where markets move at lightning speed, and information flows thousands of times faster than in traditional equities. When people feel confident, they deploy capital. When they feel hostile regulatory energy, they withhold it. Trump flipped sentiment almost overnight, and that's why the pump was so immediate. It wasn't just about the executive order or the policy promises. It was about the psychological permission he gave the market to hope again, to build again, and to take risk again. And we often underestimate how important that is. Risk-taking is the fuel of the crypto economy. Without risk appetite, nothing moves. Not price, not innovation, not user adoption, not venture investment. Under the previous administration, the mood was defensive. Builders felt like they had to explain themselves. Exchanges felt like every week could bring a new lawsuit. Entrepreneurs felt like the government was a permanent threat hanging over their work. Trump removed that weight, and the markets reacted the way you'd expect markets to react when a major pressure is suddenly released. They exploded upward. But here's where things get even more interesting. Trump didn't just influence crypto by what he said or did. He influenced crypto by the kind of global environment he created. Under Trump's second presidency, you saw a renewed emphasis on energy independence, industrial policy, reshoring manufacturing, and increasing domestic computing power. All of these things have an indirect but powerful effect on crypto. Bitcoin mining thrives when energy policy is stable and supportive. Blockchain infrastructure grows when computational costs drop. And domestic tech manufacturing strengthens the entire ecosystem by reducing supply chain vulnerabilities. A lot of people forget that Trump was the first US president to ever publicly mention Bitcoin on the world stage. And even though his early comments weren't exactly glowing, they had an unintended effect. They legitimized Bitcoin simply by acknowledging it. Every government statement, even the skeptical ones, helped push crypto deeper into the public consciousness. And once something enters mainstream awareness, it never leaves. Fast forward to 2025, and Trump's relationship with crypto had evolved dramatically. Instead of skepticism, his focus was on protection. Protection against surveillance, protection against overregulation, protection against central bank digital currencies that threaten individual financial autonomy. That message resonated across almost every demographic inside crypto, because the one unifying thread between all these communities, Bitcoin maxis, Ethereum builders, Solana developers, NFT collectors, meme coin traders, is the desire for financial self-sovereignty. When Trump took a hard stance against a US CBDC, it sent shockwaves through global monetary circles. It wasn't just about America rejecting a digital dollar. It was about America signaling to the world that government-controlled programmable money is incompatible with American values. That move didn't just energize the crypto market, it influenced global politics. Brazil, South Korea, and even parts of the EU began questioning the speed, structure, and necessity of their own CBDC plans. And this is where Trump's influence becomes truly global. He didn't just change the American crypto landscape, he shifted the tone of the entire international conversation. Digital assets are no longer a fringe financial experiment. They're a geopolitical tool. They're part of diplomatic strategy. And Trump accelerated that shift by making crypto alignment part of America's strategic posture. But again, as our slogan goes, the truth lies somewhere in the middle. There's no denying that Trump's energy, momentum, and policy stance boosted crypto dramatically. But there's also no denying that his global posture can create market-shaking moments. Under Trump, the world becomes more dynamic, but also more unpredictable. Tensions with China, fluctuations in trade policy, shifts in military posture, and diplomatic standoffs can all hit global liquidity. Crypto reacts instantly to macro liquidity conditions. When liquidity tightens, altcoins bleed. When liquidity expands, they rocket. This is the balance. This is the middle ground. Trump accelerates the upside and accelerates the volatility. But the reality is that crypto thrives on exactly that environment. Stagnation kills innovation faster than risk. Overregulation suffocates creativity faster than volatility. And if you ask builders, traders, analysts, and founders whether they'd prefer a predictable environment that restricts them, or an unpredictable environment that frees them, the overwhelming majority will choose freedom every time. And that's why under Trump, the crypto industry feels alive again. Not calm, not relaxed, alive. Builders are shipping products. Miners are expanding operations. Venture investors are raising new rounds. Retail interest is returning. Exchanges are growing user bases. And institutional players, who once hesitated due to regulatory ambiguity, are stepping back into the market with confidence. We're also seeing something deeper, a cultural merging between political independence and financial independence. Young voters in America increasingly view crypto not just as an investment class, but as a statement of personal autonomy. And whether critics like it or not, Trump is uniquely positioned to energize that demographic. His anti-establishment persona and his vocal stance against centralized financial control align perfectly with crypto's founding ethos. You can see this in social data. Engagement on crypto content spikes whenever Trump mentions digital assets. Trading volume increases on meme coins whenever he jokes about them. Wallet activity jumps when he references innovation. It's the kind of influence that no politician in Europe, Asia, or North America can replicate. Trump is the first global political figure whose relationship with crypto transcends policy and becomes cultural. And culture's the biggest driver of momentum in crypto. Policies build guardrails, regulations define boundaries, but culture fuels the fire. So when people ask whether Trump has made crypto better or worse, the answer isn't just that he made it bigger, louder, faster, and more legitimate. The answer is that he made crypto a central part of the world's political, economic, and cultural conversation. And once something becomes part of the global conversation, it can never go back to being niche. Crypto has crossed that threshold, and Trump helped push it across. Thanks for listening, and as always, we will see you at the top.